The lie got too big for both of us. It just got enormous. It was
Don't let me think about Phillip Schofield being enormous.
growing and growing and...
Oh, stop. Hello, yes, it's that time of the day again, and it's time for more Phillip Schofield. Phillip Schofield, can we fix him? No, we flipping can't. Yeah, lots more coming out again today, and let's get into it. I mean, I suppose you're looking at this page on screen and wonder what has it got to do with Phillip Schofield? Become a professional groom? Nothing at all. Completely surplus to requirements. Let's move on. Actually, just before we move on, I will just mention briefly that elsewhere in the media today, he's claimed that people are bashing him because they're homophobic. And that if it was an older man with a teenage girl, it would be perfectly fine. No, that's not the reason. The reason is that if you've been doing what you're alleged to have been doing, it's bad either way. Now let's move on. Yes, Phillip Schofield is hit by a fresh blow for Nah. 3 more brands shun the ex-ITV presenters. So basically, everyone who he's had deals with sponsorship and all the rest of it. He must be worth an absolute flipping fortune. And he's just obviously blown it all, literally. This time we've got wine, gin and used car buying nonsense. We'll come back to We Buy Any Car in a moment. But there's the gin thing he did and some wine company. Sustainable wine company. Climate change. So yeah, We Buy Any Car. I actually sold my old car to We Buy Any Car. They give you enough all for it, but then it would have cost more in the sort of MOT costs to keep using it. It really was on its last legs. But they took it. We Jump Any Queue that they were dubbed as at the time because they kept skipping the queue to see the Queen's lying in state. And yeah, if you watch the Queen lying in state, then if you want to know some thoughts, then have a look on Philip and Clive about the Pope lying in state. Anyway, let's move on from that as well. But yeah, they had there's always this be more like somebody. There's always lots of that, just because people can't think for themselves. And yeah, so be more Phil. And yeah, you really don't want to get your Phil. Oh, he's also been dropped from the Prince's Trust, a charity founded by King Charles in 1976. That's the same King Charles who used to hang around with Jimmy Savile. And we all know what happened to him. And then we get to the person who's depriving a village of an idiot. Alison Hammond shows how she breaks down on this morning. Basically what this means is she's found a way yet again to make it all about her. How can she get the camera on her? How can she make her the focus of the story? As if you want to be anywhere near Phillip Schofield. She's just, she came to the fore. And I'm going to use an Alan Bezickism, which, who did he say this about? Oh yes, Rolf Harris. He used to play what was called a crap track on his show in the 80s, late 80s. And he played, this particular night, he played 2 little boys. And he said, like with Alison Hammond, they brought him to the fore. Should have left him at the 3. But yeah, Alison Hammond, the way she came to the fore was on Big Brother 3. Just still the size she is now, and that was her shtick. And with someone else, she jumped up and down on a table outside and broke it because she's a big girl. But, you can't say she's, obese. Well, yeah, I've had weight I should have not had, and I've sort of lost it by going out for long walks. And the more weight you have now, and then you go on the exercise, you'll do better sooner. You start losing it sooner. As sort of later on you start struggling to lose it, but you'll lose a hell of a lot when you first start off. And I lost a lot, so much that my dentist pointed it out. I just hadn't been paying attention because it kept happening all the time. Also, if you lose a lot of weight, you have less strain on your heart, and you have less chance of dying early. Meanwhile, Phillip Schofield is thin as a rake. But let's just hear what she has to say. Get ready to vomit.
Oh, I'm just finding it really painful because...
So basically she's obviously an untrained actress as well, and she's doing the fake crying thing.
Obviously. I loved Phillip Schofield and...
Now's not the time to start saying that.
It's weird because I still love Phillip Schofield.
No, don't go there.
Whether what he's done is wrong, he's admitted it, he's said sorry.
Well, he's admitted certain things. He's not admitted everything yet.
But as a family, we're all really struggling to
Struggling to process this. What are you struggling to process? He's done something we can't say yet because it's not been admitted, but we know what's going on. Struggling to process this. It's not the death of a family member. That's struggling to process it. For months after my mum died, and she died 5 years after my dad died. It was 5 years. No, 6 years. Sorry. God, doesn't time fly? But 6 years after my dad died, and then you sort of realise when both of them are gone, that's when it really starts to hit the fan, and it just makes you think about an awful lot of things. But that's a struggle to process, not an ex-colleague doing something they shouldn't.
process everything, and I'd never know what to say. But
Whatever you say nothing. Ronan Keating said that best.
remember what my mum said. My mum always said,
Don't embarrass yourself on live TV.
Use your Bible as your sat-nav in life.
Oh, for crying out loud. Use your Bible. That piece of nonsense, utter complete nonsense, read by people who can't think for themselves and written by other humans. It's all made up. It's not delivered in a Sermon on the Mount by Charlton Heston in the Ten Commandments. It's just complete and utter balderdash. Just, no. The only thing the Bible would be good for, is propping up a dodgy table leg.
I fell. And in the Bible it says,
Bullshit.
he without sin cast the first stone.
Well, there's that. That's just it's like a famous quote in a way. It's like when Tony Blair had someone write for him after Princess Diana. She was Diana, Princess of Wales, technically not Princess Diana, but she was still worth more than 10 of him. And someone wrote for him to say, "Now's not a time for sound bites, but I feel the hand of history is upon my shoulder." Before he then left office 10 years later, and he owned 7 houses through all the dodgy deals he'd done, and then he went to we know what he did in Iraq.
And I just don't want to say anything bad because obviously I'm in conflict.
Of course.
I don't want to say anything bad. He was without sin, cast the first stone. When he's been doing what he's been doing, allegedly, that's more than, just join the dots, will you? Sadly, they don't have a comment section on there, so you can't leave them a comment saying what an absolute waste of space she is. And then we get to the big story this time round. I commented yesterday how Phillip Schofield had done an interview with The Sun, and they only had like a 2-minute clip on that one. This time we've got a 10-minute clip. And this video, I've seen a few minutes of it. It was on BBC Breakfast this morning. It looks like they've sort of filmed it in some kind of anime nightmare. You'll see just the room. It can't be in his house. They must have got some sort of weird separate location. No one can actually, some sort of strange location. No one can actually live in this particular house. Maybe it's a film set for something. It looks weird as hell, as you'll see. But this guy interviewing him, I mentioned him yesterday, Amol Rajan, who used to be on the Right Stuff, which is now Jeremy Vine, and the Right Stuff was run by presented by Matthew Wright until he got forced out because he'd overstayed his time, and he just started snapping at people. For quite some time, this guy Ramol was on just as the guy in the audience, the man with the mic interviewing people in the audience. Jeremy Vine used to have people in the audience, and then when COVID came along, they got rid of the audience, and despite the fact they could have them back now, they've never brought them back, so I doubt that's probably coming back anytime soon. He would just occasionally interview people in the studio. They could bring them back, but I don't know, they want people to stay for the whole 2 hours initially, and now the show runs for about 3.5 hours with like other hosts and things, so it's probably not the audience side of it isn't going to come back. But this Amol Rajan, I think his talents even struggled to interview someone in the audience, and I'll show you a clip in a minute. I did mention this yesterday, but yeah, I'll show you it here. But he seems like the kind of person who has either been promoted beyond his station for reasons I'll leave you to guess, have an educated guess at, or he sort of kissed a lot of bottom along the way, shall we say. I'm trying to be polite. This guy has no talent. I mean, I used to work with a guy who he started off, I mean, I've been there quite some time. He then came in at the same level as me, and then he was, like a couple of years later, he'd moved on. It wasn't only just team leader. I mean, that's not the kind of thing I want to do anyway. But no, only had he gone to team leader, he was like sort of acting up to the next level as well. An absolute suck up, basically. Kissing a lot of bottom. That's clear, because I could tell from working with him, he didn't have an ounce of talent. Anyway, so before we get to this interview, I say I've not seen all of it yet, but we'll just go to the bit from The Right Stuff.
Okay, well, enough about my little secrets. Anna, you have a whistleblower.
Well, I mean, it takes guts to confess, but we've got one here. Eric, tell us your story.
Hi, Matthew.
Hiya.
Do you fancy a bum?
A what?
A bum. Do you fancy a bum?
In what sense?
You know, like a bit of man-on-man action. Do you fancy a bum?
Oh, it's okay, thanks very much. What a strange man. What a very strange man.
So, what's happened there? I mean, if you look it up, you can you'll see that's from like 17 years ago. This chap is, I forget the name of the program that they used to have on Channel 4, but this chap is known as the Big Gay Following, and he would just go to random people and ask them that question. So he's obviously pretending that he's actually going to contribute to the topic and discussion. No. Okay, so we'll have a look at this this interview. It goes on for just over 10 minutes. We'll see how long I can stomach it for. But and after this, I've got something quite special for you, so stick around.
You've had quite the week.
How are you?
This seems to set the tone of the interview. They're on his side. He's obviously sat down with an interview with them so that I can tell my story. And they're just sucking up to him. Why would you suck up to someone who's allegedly done what he's done? And he's allowed to play the victim even further. It's disgusting. Is his acting talent coming into play?
I think
You're talking out of your hat?
I understand how Caroline Flack felt.
Right. I mentioned her the other day. She was a TV presenter who sadly took her own life about 3 years ago. I think it was just before the pandemic started. After a situation with ex-boyfriend. I don't think she was married. So, and she allegedly hit him. And I think even though he didn't want to take it to court, the CPS, the Crown Prosecution Service, from memory, were going to still take it to court. And she sadly took her own life. She was a TV presenter who, apart from that, allegedly had done nothing wrong. He has allegedly done an awful lot wrong. Now, I don't want Phillip Schofield to go the same way at all. What I would like is if he's done what is apparently done, I would like him to go to jail for the rest of his life. So, don't go playing the victim with me, Sonny Jim, fella me lad. It won't wash. I think this is why it's 10 minutes long, because he's taking about 3 years to say each sentence. He's stifling a fart.
Last week, if my daughters hadn't been there, then I wouldn't be here.
Oh, come off it, man. Own it. You've been caught doing something you shouldn't. Own it. Confess, and then go to jail. Do not pass go. Do not collect £200.
And they've guarded me. And won't let me out of their sight.
Pour me a drink.
It's like a weird numbness.
You are not the victim in this. The victim is the young lad who, you did what you did.
I know that's a selfish point of view,
Don't say.
but you come to a point where you just think,
You're talking rubbish.
how much are you supposed to take?
Oh, for
If
crying out loud.
all of those people that write all of that stuff, do they ever think that there's actually a person at the other end?
Well, if you've done what is being alleged to have done, it doesn't make you much of a person.
And so, here I am,
Yeah. Are you feeling okay to do this? You
Oh, boo-hoo.
feeling strong enough to do this interview?
yeah, I have to.
Why? Why do you want to do this interview?
Because
Because you're paying him?
there is an innocent person here who didn't do
Not
anything.
you, I hope. He's such a suck-up. He's like, as I say, he's like the T-boy on the right stuff. And now he's like BBC media editor or director of media or some other made-up title they didn't have before. There's clearly only one reason. Well, one reason or the reason I just mentioned as to why he's where he is. It's clearly not through talent.
Who is vulnerable and probably feels like I do.
Oh, boo-hoo.
And
For you.
I just have to say, stop with him.
I don't think anyone's criticising him. They're criticising you for what you did.
Okay with me. But stop with him. Leave him alone now.
How do you know what's going on with him? I'm pretty damn sure your lawyers have told you not to be in touch with him.
You mention this young man, and at the centre of recent events is a young man who, together with many others in the media we're not going to name, under Article 8 of the Human Rights Act, he has a right to privacy, and he's not here today to give his own account of events. When did you last speak to him?
As I engaged the lawyer for him.
He must have a lot of money in order just to pay for someone else's lawyers and to pay £30,000 a week for a non-disclosure actor and for, I think it's like a super injunction. So it's the papers can't talk about it, about what you're making the super injunction about. And it also means they can't talk about the fact you've taken out an injunction because it's a super injunction. Unbelievable. What have you got to hide? Spill the beans, go to jail, thank you very much, the end.
So he needed independent support, and so that was the last time.
Is that a few weeks ago now?
Yeah, a couple of weeks.
Okay. How concerned are you about his welfare right now?
Massively.
Not at all. You're the biggest liar on the planet. Absolutely one of the biggest liars of the planet. Everything you're saying is coming out of your flipping backside.
Massively concerned.
When did you first meet this young man in question? What were the circumstances?
When he was 13?
I was invited by a friend of mine to go to open a drama school, and that's where the picture was taken. Whether it was immediately or sometime after, he said, "Will you follow him on Twitter because he's a fan?" So I said,
Sure, I know, it just happened. Could happen to anybody. It was an accident, right? You tripped, slipped on the floor, and accidentally stuck your dick in. Anyway.
"Yeah, sure, no problem," which I did.
And he was, what, 15 at the time?
Yeah.
And this is over a
But
decade ago.
I follow 11,300
15 minus VAT.
people, and
Why on earth would you follow 11,000 people on Twitter? How can you engage with so many people on Twitter with that many people? It's madness.
in all the time I've been on Twitter, there has never been any whiff of impropriety.
For now, until even more comes out in the watch. If you think this is the end of the story, oh, this will just run and run and run. Even when he's in jail, with the door shut firmly behind him. Apologies if the interview is obviously quite quiet, but been able to put subtitles on, so that's okay. I won't ramp up the volume for the interview. I will for the Right Stuff clip because that's a bit quiet. But for the interview, I'll be able to do so much editing to bring it up, and that's why I put subtitles on.
And how often were you in touch with him?
hardly at all. He
Oh, yeah.
then said that he was interested in television. Okay, good luck. Anything I can do to help?
Oh, I wonder.
Probably. That's what I normally say. And that was it for a while. And then he asked if he could visit the studios, work experience type of thing. I said, well, you come down and have a look for sure.
Have a look at the studio, not at whatever you want to show him in the green room or the brim cupboard.
Which he did.
How old was he when he first said to you, I'm interested in television? Was he 18 by that point?
19 now, I think.
Let's see what really happens when it comes out.
19 by then. When you look back now, if you were to look back at those messages now, is there any sense in which you were flirting with him?
I bet he says no.
No.
Well, what a surprise.
I've been 41 years in television.
Yeah, and how much of that has been doing some more of this? How long was Jimmy Savile in television for? And he never got found out. I mean, people knew, but he never got found out while he was alive, or he never got exposed while he was alive. Good God.
Nothing like this before. No accusation.
Where's the volume gone? Start again, you mother.
I mean, this is all accusations.
And then when you met him in person, was there a little moment of sexual attraction then even?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely so, then.
Okay, so to be absolutely clear, how
Not.
old was this young man when you first had any kind of sexual contact with him?
20.
Oh. My backside.
20. 'Cause I want
20 minus... yeah, you know.
I mean, this is obviously the nub of it, and for the record and to put speculation to rest, let me ask you directly, did you have any kind of sexual relationship or sex with him when he was underage?
No, God, no. That...
Well, we'll see what happens.
I think that is, and in my statement, it says, consensual relationship, fully legal. I mean, that was approved by both sides, that.
Wasn't approved by your wife, though, was it?
No. He'd been
Pretty
working at the show for a few months, and we become mates. We were mates, we around the studios, you hang out together, you chat to each other, that sort of stuff, and then. In my dressing room one day, something happened.
I wonder what happened.
Which, obviously I will regret forever, for him and for me.
If you believe him, you're nuts. If there's anyone who should be given a knighthood, I mean, there's so many people that are given knighthoods and damehoods, and they really don't deserve them. If anyone deserves a knighthood, it's Jack Jones for his 1 million followers video. I've played it enough times. I won't play it again here, but 1 million followers! And it's just brilliant. He has basically exposed Phillip Schofield for what he is. Genius. Absolute genius. Love him.
Mostly him. But that happened maybe 4 or 5 times over the next few months. And
it's all perfectly normal to him.
I know, it's...
Look at him! Playing for the camera, my God.
Unforgivable.
Ugh. Unforgivable. Unforgivable, that's what you are.
But we weren't boyfriends, we weren't in a relationship. I was really in a mess with my own sexuality.
Oh, here we go. I was in a mess with my own sexuality. Oh dear, poor me. Didn't know what I was doing
At the time. And it just happened.
It just happened. Yeah, go back to the interview, the chorus they gave before. Sure, I know it just happened. It could happen to anybody. It was an accident, right? You trip, slips on the floor, and accidentally stuck your dick in it. It's actually a line from The Last Boy Scout with Bruce Willis. Amazing film. If you haven't guessed that already. If you haven't seen The Last Boy Scout, go watch it. If you have seen it, go watch it again. It's amazing.
How old was he at this stage?
32.
20, 21.
Look at him, he sounds so sad. Oh, my heart is breaking because I've been found out.
Who knew on the team?
Nobody.
Nobody. My arse.
To my knowledge. I mean, somebody has to know something for there to be a rumour later on.
People know what was going on.
I didn't believe that anybody knew.
You thought you were untouchable, that's the problem. You thought no one could ever finger you and find you out. And then they found out when you'd fingered somebody.
And did you ever tell Holly Willoughby?
No, God no.
As if she didn't know.
That's a bit a bigger question because we have our makeup room was like a sanctuary. Has always been a sanctuary. So you tell everything in that room. Holly knows everything about me.
Yeah, I bet she knows everything about you. That's why Monday, coming up, June the 5th, she's supposed to be back on the programme. On this morning. I will bet money. I'd bet £1 million. I'd bet 1 million followers that she's not on the programme.
I know everything about Holly. Holly did not know. Nobody knew.
Of course they flipping did.
You never told her.
No, I didn't tell anybody.
And the reason this matters is because it is about potential abuse of power. And
I understand that. And that is a very, very valid question to put to me.
And people would say the circumstances are as follows here. You met someone who was a child, you were in a position of power over them, you used your power eventually to give them something they craved, which was a shot at a job in the media, you nurtured a relationship, and then that relationship became sexual. And they might ask, what's the difference between that and grooming?
Well, I would say that the initial list of things was not right anyway.
Tell me, why?
Because it was a totally innocent picture, a totally innocent Twitter follow, of which I follow 11,400 people.
Guys, he's following an extra 100 people now. It was 11,300 before, now it's 11,400. God, that was quick. He's not even got his phone out.
And
I expect you've got a lot less followers now.
And then it was a completely innocent backwards and forwards over a period of time
Completely innocent. Totally innocent.
about a job, about careers. What's wrong with talking to someone, no matter, what age they are? Does that mean that if you're following anyone on Twitter that you absolutely don't talk to anybody else or you don't give advice?
How many adults of a certain age are going to be regularly talking to children in a genuine capacity? If you're in that position, and if I was, I'm not Phillip Schofield. I think if I was in that position, if I had Holly Willoughby there, I'd be explaining to her at the same time, saying, "This is what's happening. Can you oversee this and tell me? Give me advice. Tell me if I'm overstepping the line by talking to this lad, or should I just stop? Point him in the direction of talent agency who can push him in the right direction, where he can sign up with them and learn the ropes, perhaps, rather than Phillip Schofield talking to the lad himself. I think that'd be better."
So I disagree with the summation that you just gave, because that does paint a very grave picture.
Do you know if he has signed an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, preventing him from speaking?
No.
Well, there's certainly the super injunction. I hope. I mean, if the lad's talented, I hope he does get his shot in the media. He may not want to do it anymore. I mean, there'll be people who probably don't want to give him a job now. But if he's talented, give him a job. Let him speak. I'm pretty sure once Phil ends up behind bars, the lad will speak. I'll be interested to hear what he has to say.
You don't know if
he has. No. Did I make him sign an NDA? No, absolutely not.
No, you probably got your lawyers to do it instead.
But there's a question of whether or not he was, as it were, paid off. And
No.
in effect, if he was paid off,
No.
was he paid for his silence?
No, God no.
No, God, no.
No. So is he free to speak if he wants to?
Yeah. Yes. I mean,
I'm my arse.
what he wants is for all of this to go away.
We'd like you to go away, Phil. You don't have to be on TV. We'd like you just to go away to jail.
He wants a quiet life.
And just on a couple of points of information, just to be clear, you are currently on an ongoing basis, you're paying for his legal advice and support. Has there ever been, or is there, an injunction or any sort of NDA preventing media coverage of your relationship with him?
Yes.
No.
Why is all this coming out now, Philip? What was the catalyst?
I wonder why.
What changed?
It got too big.
All the allegedly all the super injunctions are coming to an end, and it's all going to come out in the wash, and it's time to expose him.
The lie got too big for both of us. It just got enormous. It was
Don't let me think about Phillip Schofield being enormous.
growing and growing and
Oh, stop,
growing,
please.
and it crossed over from online to mainstream news.
ITV's position is that they've only put out one statement about all of this. They say they investigated allegations of an improper relationship, and they were told by both you and the young man that there was no relationship.
When there was.
In retrospect, was that investigation a sham? Because it clearly didn't get to the truth, did it?
I think if you have two people who are lying, then what can you do?
But what
So he's admitted he's lying, but now he says, "Oh no, nothing even worse has happened." Are you going to believe him now, or does he say you're going to believe your lying eyes?
did that investigation amount to? I mean, was it just a phone call to you and a phone call to the young man? Was it sort of a proper sort of independent?
I think he was asked. He was asked quite a bit. I was asked a couple of times. So it's and it wasn't formal.
Is this the tip of the iceberg? Are there
Oh, there's more to come. Stay tuned for more videos.
more allegations and revelations to come, or as far as you're concerned, is it
My
all out?
biggest.
It's
It was
all out
my
there.
biggest,
Oh, I don't want to hear Phillip Schofield getting it out.
sorriest secret.
When did you last speak to Holly Willoughby?
I WhatsApped her on the day that I put the statement up, and I said to her, "I know you can't reply. You're probably not allowed to, but please know that I am so desperately sorry."
Who are all these people who use WhatsApp? I thought it was something used by teenagers. And now we've got Phillip Schofield doing it. We've got all the politicians discussing policy over it. How come it's so big? Oh God, I'm back to Phillip Schofield again.
Did she reply?
So there we go. Phillip Schofield. What a tangled web you continue to weave. Okay, so just say I had something special for you. And let's have a bit of a clip of Phoenix Nights. Just can't think why I chose this one.
Now, I'm getting the word nonce.
Phoenix Nights was great in the day, despite what an arse Peter Kay became. So, there we go for now. That's everything that's out for now. Let me know all your thoughts in the comments below. In the meantime, please like this video, share with your friends, subscribe if you haven't already, click on the bell for all notifications, and cue Genesis.